Hello, I'm SureManCool. That's the Dirty Tooth. Welcome to Level Best. There's been some not fun, developments in the gaming industry recently, including Phil Spencer retiring, Sarah Bond quitting,
Bro
just out of nowhere.
Bro has been at Microsoft forever. He was an intern at Microsoft.
I mean, I get, it's time to retire. Maybe that's just where he's at, and it's time to retire. But it kind of all reads to me like he was kind of they said, it's time for you to retire now. Yeah, it's time for you to retire.
Honestly,
aren't you ready to retire now, Phil?
Honestly, there has to be something. This is so, I know what they say, that this has been something that's been, planned, but you don't just come out and be like, okay, my last day is Monday. We've been planning this for a long time though.
Yeah, wouldn't they say hey, I'm planning to retire at the end of February, at the end of 2025?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, this is a plan, but it's all at once suddenly. And then Sarah Bond was always Phil Spencer's number 2.
The predecessor. The
Yeah,
person that comes next.
Yeah, Phil should have retired. Sarah Bond moves up into that position potentially. And it's a healthy, peaceful transition of power.
Looking at it from a greater sphere of gaming and hardware and console and developer, this doesn't seem like something that Microsoft wanted her to take on, Sarah Bond, because she was so closely associated with Phil Spencer, probably similar vision for Microsoft and Xbox. And I would imagine that they're trying to move in a different direction now. Phil Spencer was, probably the lead person on the acquisition of so many different IPs, so many different studios, the Activision Blizzard acquisition, all of that's under Phil Spencer's belt, right?
Right.
However, that was also not a Xbox hardware first approach. It was sort of a gaming approach, gaming first approach, play anywhere.
Yeah, gamers first.
Yeah, get people involved. And I think ultimately, it seems like Microsoft might be trying to shove some product. They're trying to sell some stuff now. It's a different approach.
What I'm worried about is that Satya Nadella didn't see this whole vision of Xbox working, and we're going to see Game Pass go away sometime soon. And we're going to see this new lady, Asha Sharma, come in, and, she's a new face. If the horror future that I'm thinking comes to pass, then Phil Spencer said, no, I'm not going to can all these studios. That's not going to be what my legacy is. So I'm going to retire. And then Microsoft is okay, let's scramble for someone. Okay, Asha Sharma, you worked at Instacart and stuff. Come on up. You're going to have to be the one to can all these studios and get rid of these studios, these big names, save us some money, and focus on the money makers like Playground Games and
Activision, Blizzard, all of those. Yeah.
We are going from a gamer CEO, at least. Yeah. Phil Spencer sold being a gamer better. I don't believe Asha Sharma is much of a gamer. I don't believe it. Yeah. I am willing to be proven wrong. I'm fine with that. But I think she's a businesswoman. I think she is here to do business. And then we got Matt Booty as her right-hand man. Mm-hmm. And he's the gamer. He's we know he's a gamer. And he's got the gamer first, gamer's interest at heart. And hopefully there'll be a dynamic duo where she can be business, business, business. And he'll be like, but the gamer, don't forget the gamer and the games first.
Mm,
And then they can like clash and something great can come out from that clashing. I'm trying to be positive about it, but I
no.
worry because, and then at the end of the day, they report to Satya Nadella, who is also business first. But so far, Satya Nadella has allowed for Game Pass to happen and this whole kind of steering away from console and game anywhere instead of, only on the console and exclusive games. Um, I feel like where Xbox has been going, like the grand scheme, big picture, it's all been like gamer first, like games available to
Yeah.
anyone. Everybody should have access to these games. And I think that's like a good concept, but it definitely loses some Xbox brand loyalty when you don't have exclusive games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's ultimately what I'm trying to say is that we're going to get back to having more exclusive games so that Xbox can have more of a culture again. Instead of
So
it's just being a publisher that makes games for everyone, for everywhere, every platform. We might see more exclusivity. We might see some studios closing down, and we might see Game Pass taking on some big changes. That's what I'm guessing.
so here's my take on it.
We'll see. Yeah.
Okay. Game Pass sales slowly creeping this way. Not creeping this way like they were. Part of that's due with like the pricing structure change, some other things, but the sales have gone down. Xbox hasn't been like growing the way that the other competitors have, which means that it's time for Microsoft to think about what that means. Do they want to continue being a player in the hardware world in which they have been a major player in the past? And what does it mean from a perspective of somebody that has been in the heavy development of AI as well? And so I think that Sarah Bond retiring, or not retiring, leaving, like
Yeah,
just
leaving.
straight up leaving, I think that it's sort of a total like perspective and personality shift in Xbox collectively, more towards somebody that is going to be hardware and AI alignment like focused. Like they're gonna start building in like heavy AI work into it, but not sloppy AI, really
Yeah.
nice AI.
Satya Nadella literally said, no AI slop. But what I was going to say,
Great AI.
to back you up, to be honest, if you look at Sarah Bond, if you can pull up Sarah Bond's statement, Zombie, yeah, you can see in the first actual paragraph. I'm incredibly proud of that paragraph. It says our next console is well underway. Is she talking about the handheld, like the Asus ROG Ally, or is she talking about like an actual next console? Does that like because she left, she's like, whatever, here, I'll just tell you, our next console is underway. Is that like that's not a scoop, is it? I feel like I haven't heard anybody talk about that, but
I've heard
plain clear as
someone
day.
talk about rumors. I mean, I think there's been a little bit of a talk recently about like AMD saying something about their chips being used in the next generation of Xbox consoles because Xbox, I think they use AMD chips for their consoles. I've heard about stuff as if it's like super casual, like yeah, it's coming. Like yeah, okay, this is coming. So that might be what she's talking about. I couldn't imagine she's talking about the ROG Ally.
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so either. So I think that backs up how there's more hardware on the way, so maybe they're kind of going to backtrack a little bit on the whole play anywhere idea. And then
Yeah.
second thing I want to point out in this same statement, I think it's been alluded to that over the past year of time, they've been preparing for this transition of CEO Phil Spencer to retire, yada yada. But then literally in let's see, the third paragraph, the big paragraph, it says I've had the privilege of spending time with Asha over the last few weeks, and we've planned for this transition. As we've planned for this transition, is that blowing the lid on that, saying it's only been going for a few weeks
Yes, that's you don't
rather than
say.
a whole year?
Yeah,
Or am
Why?
I just reading too much into this?
No,
Because
no, no. It's you that's not reading too much into it. It would have said I've had the privilege of spending time with Asha over the last few months.
yeah, or over the last year, as
Yeah.
Phil and I have brought her on board, like, but
Nah.
over the last few weeks is a very different statement.
No.
And you can slap together an Xbox account and play a couple games and earn some gamer score within a few weeks for sure. If you're going to be this CEO of Xbox gaming or whatever, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I'm pretty scatterbrained and I'm not an expert on anything. I've only read some of these articles and just come out with my own thoughts. And I think Tooth, you're on the same boat.
Yeah.
We don't know. There's no way anybody could know, but as an Xbox fan, I'm a little worried, especially with their. It just seems like they're going to be taking AI a little more seriously, and the shareholders might be happy.
All right.
You say AI, and money gets flown everywhere.
So, from 2024 to 2026, she served as the core AI product president for Microsoft, Asha Sharma. So, how can this be anything but Microsoft attempting to build the best technology integrated thing, whether that's a console, a system, some sort of like hardware or tech that is going to increase their sales, which is what she's interested in. And you have two people interested in increasing business, one person in gamer first, booty. How's that going to work out? You know,
I don't know.
Whose
Remains
voice
to be seen.
whose voice gets shoved down, I think. I don't know if it's a bad thing, but I know that it's a complete restructure from what we've seen Xbox being underneath of Phil Spencer.
Yeah, I know. Phil Spencer got given a lot of crap for what he had to do. I think about Tango GameWorks, of course, having to shut down that studio. I feel like over his tenure being the head of Xbox, I feel like overall he was a good face for the business and represented it well. I'm really worried that we're going to miss Phil Spencer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Because we're gonna miss this era of where Phil Spencer was
A gamer first era from everybody on the team. Gamer first.
Yeah. I do want to give, Zombie, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but do you have any quick thoughts or anything yourself? I know you've been kind of thinking about this here and there too.
While you were talking just now, I did read something from an CNBC article, and it's actually in this right here on the screen. Something you said earlier about you're wondering if it's like two different kinds of roles and then they'll clash and they bring two different things to the table. Satya Nadella himself said together Asha and Matt have the right combination of consumer product leadership and gaming depth to push our platform innovation and content pipeline forward. So I think that kind of helps your case, gives a little bit of validity to what you said. It's probably closer to reality than it might seem.
Yeah,
That's
at
exactly what
surface
I
level.
would. That's exactly what I would say if I was trying to hide that it's gonna suck.
I can't help but be all conspiratorial on this, but let's be real. 38 years at Microsoft. I mean, Phil Spencer's put in his time, and I mean, it's always a possibility that he was just ready to retire. It's just so sudden that it's hard to believe.
All right, are you ready for
Yeah.
what I think it is for real? I wanted to hold
Yes.
this till the last minute, but do you guys remember Arcane Austin? Do you remember Redfall?
Yes.
I think this is the fallout from that.
Really?
Yeah, I think
Years ago?
Years ago. I think people are still calling for Phil Spencer's head. Redfall was such a failure and it didn't need to be. That poor studio, and that Microsoft just couldn't have him anymore. Liability. Couldn't have another Redfall, you know? That's just my
Okay.
thought. That's just my thought.
Hey, that's fair. I think Phil Spencer just had enough, and he said, "I'm retiring on Friday, so figure it out. Here's my statement." And so they just had to rush to put together Asha Sharma and Matt Booty and Sarah Bond. Maybe they met for lunch one day, and Sarah Bond was like, "Well, if you're retiring, I'm leaving." And then maybe it was just a natural occurrence, and
Dude,
there was no hands forced.
what do you think they're like sitting into Microsoft like Xbox headquarter dining hall? They're sitting there, you know, eating their pudding, and Phil
Sniffing
Spencer
glue.
sniffing glue, and Phil Spencer's like, "Man, I'm so tired of this shit. I'm gonna retire." And then Sarah Bond was like, "I'm not sticking around if you're not here." And then they literally marched down the hall and were like, "Hey, we're quitting.
We're fucking out of here,
We're
man.
out of here, bro." So,
Maybe. I don't know.
I like to
There's no
think
way to know.
I like to think that happened.
Well, I want to say that we'll never know, but I also know that in 15 years we're gonna get some Phil Spencer autobiography, a memoir
Whoa.
where all the beans are spilled, and maybe Jason Schreier will write it. Who
Yeah.
knows? Speaking of Jason Schreier, though, segue, he also put out a Bloomberg article talking about BluePoint Games being shuttered. Like next month or something like that? Bummer. BluePoint
Yeah.
Games is the creators, well, the remakers of like Demon Souls and Shadow of the Colossus.
The absolute sort of bummer that, you know, PlayStation canceled their God of War sort of deal that they were working on too.
A God of War live action game or
Yeah.
live service
Live
game.
service game.
Don't know what that's about, but makes sense to cancel that. That sounds like a shit show.
Could have been
That's
cool.
crazy. I don't know. I don't know much about this. I'm no expert again on anything Bluepoint related, but they just seem like a bunch of good developers. PlayStation bottom up, didn't really make good use of them, and then canned them. 70 employees.
Bluepoint was put onto the God of War live service game. Like that's something that was a Sony initiative. And I was reading some people like talking about this, that Sony could have misallocated all of Bluepoint's talent away from what they were good at, which is this high quality remake, you know, game style, to working on this live service game, which they don't do. So you have a studio that wants to work on original content, and they're not getting to because they have to make remakes for Sony. And then they also are getting pushed to work on this live service game, which Sony cancels, which really shows that like, okay, like they failed at that, not Bluepoint, but Sony failed to see that vision. And now they just don't have any use for him because they spent all this time doing this thing that's not happening anymore.
I also know that there's a perspective that, maybe Bluepoint didn't want to just be the studio that remakes everyone
Yeah.
else's games.
They want to be original. They want to make original content.
I don't know. I just know that they were very talented, clearly, based on the work they did on Demon Souls alone was such a great remake. They changed only what was necessary. It was so tasteful. Shadow of the Colossus, such a tastefully done remake. Kept the spirit of the game that was created all that time ago, but brought it and put a new fresh coat of paint on it, basically remade it from the ground up while like working with the bones of the actual like old game. Again, it's just crazy that you just buy them up just to can them. Doesn't make sense to me. Will never make sense to me. Hopefully one day we get more insight as to why this happened.
I think this really shows like how dangerous this industry is. like the triple
Volatile.
yeah, like it's just like they can just like get rid of them, just all of them at once. I think hopefully what we see is that BluePoint had a really big desire to work on their own original vision, and that we see somebody else sort of scoop them up, and we get a new game or a new IP, something out of this like bad thing. That's what the hope is always, right? You see this big layoff and you hope that these people end up somewhere where they can work on something amazing that we get to see in a year or so.
Well, that's what happened with Tango GameWorks. Microsoft canned Tango GameWorks after they made Hi-Fi Rush, which made even less sense. And then we find out later that Tango GameWorks was acquired by Krafton, which, you know, they saved Tango, which is cool. And we haven't seen anything from them since or anything. I haven't heard any news about them since, but they're not dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not defunct as a studio. They haven't been shuttered now, so that's cool. So hopefully something like that happens with BluePoint. We'll just have to see. It's still really early. It's only been a couple days since I was announced, but literally this announcement about BluePoint happened the day before all this drama with Microsoft. Just kind of crazy. Last on the list is Highguard laying off a bunch of their employees because the game didn't seem to do very well. So they're just keeping like a core. Yeah, it says right here in the tweet that they're keeping a core group of developers to continue innovating on and supporting the game. That's a bummer.
For how long?
That's the thing. I don't know. And you got to wonder if it's even going to survive with a core group of developers.
Yeah.
Apparently, it came out that Wildlight Entertainment, the secret publisher for Highguard, was Tencent. And so that's like another big reason why when the numbers weren't huge and the player count wasn't huge, they had to make a big change, like laying off a bunch of employees, was because Tencent was the secret financial backer. Yeah, exactly. So I wonder, you got to wonder if that had anything to do with it, or if Tencent had, whispered in the ears of Highguard to say, hey, we didn't give you all this money for this, so we're cutting you off. And so they don't have any funding coming in, so they had to lay off employees. Who knows?
Yeah.
But just a bummer, man. Have you played Highguard? I played a little bit of Highguard.
No.
Not a bad game. Not a great game. It's not the next coming, but it's not bad. It's fun. I had a good time. I got shit on. I suck, but it was good.
I didn't play it, but it's like it didn't look bad. It looked confusing when it was announced, but
it makes sense when you play it. It all comes together, and it is
I
a
figured it would.
cohesive gaming experience, and it is new. Like it's a new experience, something that didn't exist before, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Zombie, did you end up playing Highguard at all?
No shot.
No shot. No interest whatsoever. Huh?
He did.
If I'm
he
not
did.
interested enough in Marathon to want to buy it right now, there's no shot you're getting me to play Highguard.
He did
It's
download.
free.
He did download it and leave a bad review on Steam, though.
Oh, right. Like so many others, apparently.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about this and how, Phil Spencer kind of put him on blast at the Game Awards, and then suddenly everyone knows about it, but they're not excited for it, and that kind of like spelled Highguard's demise. I don't know how true that is. I feel like because we don't know what Wildlight Entertainment's marketing for Highguard would have been otherwise. It might have just been a shadow drop at a different gaming event, and we, or maybe we just never heard of it, and it came out to no fanfare, and very few people played it. At least it wouldn't have been hyped up, but then, how many people would have actually played it,
So I think that there was probably a big fear that if it were to be shadow dropped, that there would be little to no interest in playing that game. because you have other hero shooters out there. You know, like Marvel Rivals is still there, Overwatch is still there, not as big as it was now than it was then, but when Highguard came out. But I think they were trying to build that hype to build up that player base. But the second that they saw that concurrent player base just go, like, it wasn't just this, it was like straight up, straight down. Because I don't think people liked it. I don't think it's a game that people wanted.
I
don't know, man.
wonder, since Tencent is probably the secret financial backer, do you think they might have had some sort of influence in saying, "Hey, Jeff Keighley, we'll pay all this money, to show this at the Game Awards as your special final reveal"?
That
Maybe.
honestly, it's something like that had to have happened, because that was the lamest thing ever to show at the end of the Game Awards. It wasn't even
Let's
a good
see.
trailer.
I mean, I see something like just a Reddit post. I don't know how true this is, but some Reddit post says report claims it costs up to $450K to show a 1-minute trailer at the Game Awards. I don't know if that's true, but it's hard to believe the narrative that Jeff Keighley gave away a potential $450,000 spot to a game because he played it and really liked it, which is like kind of what he said. I don't know.
Liar. He's lying. There's just no way.
But there's no way to know. We can't speak so definitively on it.
The majority of people did
little
not like
fishy.
the game. It was a mixed review game. There's no way that he liked it that well. The trailer sucked. That was a lame thing to show at the Game Awards. Everybody knows it. Everybody said it. I'm sure even Jeff Keighley said it. Like afterwards, he's like, "Damn, that was so lame." And it is. It just is lame.
You haven't played it, okay?
doesn't-
And
it's
there's
not-
still 1,000 people playing right now that seem to be enjoying it because they're playing it.
Listen,
And crazier things have happened where a game comes back from a dip to 1,000 player base. Maybe this core group of developers just doesn't need to sleep and they can just do a ton of work on the game.
yeah.
Maybe they're the special people that just don't need sleep, or like need like 2 hours of sleep a night and they feel fine.
Maybe they're hoping to scoop up all the scrambling people from BluePoint, and they're gonna pay them cheap. On the cheap
Maybe.
to keep
Maybe.
Highguard going. I'm not saying that the game is lame. I'm saying that the marketing was lame, the trailer was lame. Nobody understood what the game was.
Nope.
And Jeff Keighley did not sound genuine in his delivery of the trailer.
Yep.
As the last thing
agree.
at the Game Awards. It would have been
it was
better
rough.
if Flute Guy was just like playing out the end of the Game Awards.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I think it's a bummer, at least, that what happened with Highguard. I really hope that it is able to come out of this. Maybe a Jinxie figure will come out of the woodwork with 100,000 non-bot viewers to play Highguard and bring it back, revive it, and show how great Highguard could be. Because that can happen in this day and age, in the year of our Lord 2026.
Yeah.
One big streamer can decide to take it up,
Dude.
and really dive into Highguard. And whoa, lo and behold, tens of thousands of people are checking it out. Or one post on Reddit can go viral and bring upon the Highguard revolution, similar to Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh,
how that had a big revival.
True.
So you never know. Things can happen to where maybe Highguard comes back from the dead, almost dead.
All right, so 3v3, right? That's Highguard's 3v3.
They came out with 5v5 though. They have a permanent 5v5 game.
So they do have a 5v5. All right, so let's see here. If we had Jinxie, Kai Cenat,
Queso,
XQC,
the formerly FaZe guys. What are you trying to be picky right now?
Yeah, this is a good list here. I need one more. for their 5-stack.
The burnt peanut.
The burnt peanut, bro, the GOAT, right? That's a 5-stack that could bring this game back.
Yeah, 100%.
If they played this game for 3 hours, it would be back.
Let's make it happen.
Okay.
How much money you got?
I'll call him.
Call him up.
I'll text him after this.
Text him after this. Let him know, hey, you up? Just say you up? Question mark. And see,
Yeah,
and maybe
yeah.
see if you get a text back, and then just take it from there.
Yeah, we'll do.
He's into it though. He's into it.
Yeah. I'll just send an emoji at first.
Eggplant.
Eggplant.
And we're bringing Highguard back, baby.
Yeah, you're
That's
welcome.
it. That's all. Big gaming developments. Nothing positive. Everything negative. And that makes me sad. But maybe we'll get happy gaming news sometime soon that we can talk about. That'd be great. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. I know this is just a weird one-off kind of thing, talking about some sad gaming news, but thanks for watching. If you have anything to say, if you want to add to what we're talking about, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know how wrong we are, how right we are, or if any new information comes out. Let the people know in the comments. Like the video if you like the video, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later. See you next time.